Hello, everybody. Welcome to Miyagi Draws. I have been an artist since the 80s. I started at a time when you didn't have computers. You just had a drawing table and T-square and Koh-i-Noor little ink pens that you'd have to draw things with. And strangely enough, the Pigma microns were around back then, and a lot of comic book artists back then used to do that. Well, so from there I transitioned into graphic art, and I've been doing that for God, a lot of years. I was working as a graphic artist, doing jobs for the video game industry. I'm just one of those nameless artists out there who keep plugging away at their job. We don't have a name. We don't have any kind of fame. We don't have fanboys and fangirls, and we don't have any of that. We just kind of get up, we go to work, we create the art that everyone consumes, and we go home to our families, and we don't make a whole lot of money. Um, Most artists probably don't make a whole lot of money. But I was lucky enough that graphic art has supported me for a great many years. So, oh gosh, my last job was at Razer, uh, the peripheral company. They make keyboards and mice and really good products. Uh, great job, but not a whole lot of expression to be done as an artist there, doing what you see on the screen right now. But I was still able to, design stuff for them, just as I've designed stuff for Blizzard and for Riot Games, and oh my gosh, the list goes on and on. BET, I did stuff for BET. Um, Mostly graphic art. All graphic art is, you can think about it as taking an element here and an element there, a diagonal graphic or something, throwing some copy onto it, and making it pleasing to the eye, hopefully eye-catching. You can uh, it stops you with what you're doing to pick up whatever that product is. But anyway, I did this for a great many years, and through it all, I've always wanted to share what I've learned. I mean, just like everybody else, I've watched so many art video tutorials and motivational things, and some of it applied, some of it didn't. And I thought you artists might need a little dose of reality, a little bit of hope, a little bit of center, and to hear from someone who's been doing this for quite a long time. My name Miyagi came from my coworkers. I've always been the oldest guy in the room, and I have all this knowledge from a previous day, kind of, Mr. Miyagi teaching that little brat how to wax on and wax off, right? And that's the old-fashioned way of doing it. It's always the best, right? Well, that's kind of me. Anytime anyone had any questions on some old stuff about art, they would ask. And I've been doing this so long. I mean, color theory and composition and all this stuff is just second nature to me by now. Um, Not very artistic though. But anyway, they called me Miyagi, Mizzy Miyagi. My name's Mike, so Mizzy Miyagi. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I thought, oh, what the heck? I'll just create a YouTube channel, call it, Miyagi Draws, and I'll draw on the channel and I'll just chat with y'all and share whatever info I have to share. What you're seeing here is a original character of mine for a story, comic book story that I was going to do for years. And every so often, if I don't have anything else to draw, I'll just sit down and draw her. Um, so that's what you're seeing here. Primarily, I've always wanted to be a comic book artist. And for this channel intro, I figured I'd just go back to my roots and just draw some simple comic book character, right? Um, a brief discussion on tools. You don't need the best tools out there to produce art. I'm working on a Wacom 16 inch, which was, I don't know, around 700 bucks, right? I had to save up a little bit to buy it. It's a little 16-inch monitor, and that's what this is done on, is that 16. But if I were to get a pad of paper and a pencil, my art would look exactly the same. As a matter of fact, when I'm drawing and you tilt your paper to draw different lines. I was actually tilting my tablet. Oh my God. Can you believe that? How much of a noob am I? But I was tilting my tablet instead of just going into the page and tilting the page. And I'm embarrassed to say I've been working in Photoshop for so long. But once I skew the page, I always forget how to get it back to straight again. And it's just annoying. So, so I turned my tablet. Incredible, right? Another thing I do, I don't know if you guys do this, but Wacom and all the other tablets, they have this slick stylus, right? And it's all black. Well, like most artists, I work with most of the lights off in the room and just the monitors illuminating. Oh my gosh, I've lost my pen so many times. So many times. It's ridiculous. I've almost wanted to put like some fluorescent tape on my pen and just, oh, I don't know, just so I could find it, you know? But anyhow, um, so yeah, I'm working on a 16, Wacom 16, but before that I had an iPad and of course pen and paper. On tools, I gotta say that for all of you artists out there that think a tool is going to make you better, it's not. It's not going to make you better. What's going to make you better at art is drawing. And I'm not talking, oh, you got to just practice drawing 1,000 drawings. Blah, blah, blah. No, no, no. You know what? Get that out of your head. There's no set amount. You just have to practice intelligently. And I don't know, maybe I'll ramble on about how to practice intelligently. What the heck was I doing there? I was trying to get a new layer and I pulled up the new document. How fun. So let me pause real quick and just explain what I'm doing. So I did my first sketch there in a very light colored pen. I used the default Photoshop pen. I'm using Photoshop called Kyle's Pencil Happy HB or something. Really, you don't need a complex brush. Just find one that draws a nice crisp line. You don't want a fuzzy line and just run with it. So what I did is I did a brief sketch, threw it on a layer, turned the transparency of that layer down to, oh, I don't know, I think it was around 40%. Threw a layer on top of it. I locked that bottom layer because I don't want to mistakenly draw on that layer. And then I grabbed a pen that had a nice crisp line, and then I'm just inking. And I'm inking the same way on here that I would on a piece of paper with like a Prismacolor or, a Crow Quill 102, something like that, right? It's the same thing, the same hand motions, the same kind of procedure. So that's pretty much what you're seeing here. And of course I'm undoing some lines. But back to the tools. So there's a YouTube channel, about a year and a half ago that I commented on, and it was a YouTube channel by Ergo Josh. I'll throw the link to his channel down below. Great guy uh, for tutorials. He really knows what he's doing in art. Please, like and subscribe to the guy. He's pretty good. He did a review of an iPad Pro, and he was saying that, this is the best tool to use to draw. If you're going to get an iPad Pro. And, in the comments, I said, that's great, but really, your tool isn't going to make you draw better. And it's not. Back when I was a kid, everybody wanted Zip tennis shoes. There's a brand named Zips, right? And it was a tennis shoe. And when you're a kid, you're dumb and you think, oh, you buy the tennis shoe and you're going to be able to jump higher and run faster. And you're not going to be able to do any of that stuff. You can buy whatever shoe you want. You're still going to jump the same height and all that other crap that you normally would do, right? It's the same thing with art tools, right? You don't need the iPad Pro. A regular 6th gen iPad that you can pick up for a couple $100 and the Apple Pencil do you just fine. Pad of paper and a cheap pencil you can get at Walmart do you just fine. Your skill is going to be the same across whatever you do. And I know it's a hard thing to hear because we all want that easy magic bullet that's just going to make us better in an instant, but it's not. As you can see in my drawing here, it's better than some people, but other artists would look at it and go, "Wow, this guy, the eyes are off or the nose is kind of wonky, and I do this better, and the lines aren't confident here." We all are at different stages. Art is a mountain. We're all climbing it, and we all are at different stages on that climb. The important thing is to continue to climb, right? You want to continue to climb that mountain. You don't want to ever stop. So, what I would say is just keep going. Keep going, and you'll eventually get there. But practice is really the key. Um, to being a good artist, practice is the ultimate key to this. You really have to practice, but in the right way. You want to calibrate your hand to whatever media you're starting with first. Draw circles, draw lines, draw a little feathering, draw some cross hatching. Really get your mind and your hand synced up to what you're doing. Now, if you're going to sit down and practice, I highly recommend doing what's called a master study. So we all have artists that we really like and admire. I want you to make a short list of about 3 different artists that you really like and admire. And I want you to go and find some image of theirs or images. And I want you to either print it out if you don't have a way of drawing digitally, print it out on paper, get some tracing paper, put it over, and I want you to trace it. I know it sounds ridiculous, right? Tracing is bad. No, tracing isn't bad. Tracing is a great way to learn and to get your hand um, and mind knowing where things are at, right? And to prevent your art from looking like whoever it is that you're copying. That's why you want to do 2 or 3 different artists. And what you're going to do is you're just going to keep tracing. Find art that you really like and trace it. Try to match their strokes. Try to just mirror what they're doing. When you do a line, if you notice my lines that I'm drawing here, I don't tend to scratch a lot. I tend to just commit. Just go and commit to that line. If you've got a long circle, stretch it out. See right there on the ponytail bit, I kind of went up. It's not a perfect circle. It kind of goes down one angle, then another angle, then another angle, then up again. Do that. Practice these things, but mostly get your tracing paper and practice. I learned by tracing Neil Adams and tracing John Buscema, comic book artists, and George Perez, and these artists were fantastic. They taught me where eyes go in relation to the face, where, how to draw different parts of the body. So when I went back and actually learned the proper way to construct things, I had kind of a head start. I kind of knew already, my hands knew where everything belonged, and I was able to draw dynamic poses a whole lot better. So you got to practice correctly. I mean, if you just take a golf club and you just swing it wildly, you could do that for 10,000 hours and you're never going to get any better. You're just going to learn how to swing that golf club wildly. What you want to do is get better at what you're doing. And the only way to do that is deliberate practice, and tracing is the first step. Keep in mind, you don't own any of those things that you trace. As soon as you trace it, throw it away. Don't color it in and do it to completion and call it your own. It's not your own, you're stealing. So don't do that. But you can do a master study. I mean, back in the day, Rembrandt and all the other Velasquez and Vermeer and all of the other artists, they did what was called master studies. I think I rambled on about it before. But the master study, you basically would trace the pen and ink work or the pencil work of the master, and later on you imitate their drawings and their paintings to kind of learn how they did it. And then that was how you learned. That was one of the big tools on how you learned. Getting a piece of tracing paper out and tracing somebody's art that you really like is a great way to learn. You're doing multiple artists so that your art doesn't look like a copy of somebody else's art, right? So you have a couple different influences. What you want to do after you get enough of these tracings done, you want to occasionally get a new piece of paper out and look at the drawing that you had traced, the original source, right? and try to draw it just by looking at it and not tracing it. And if it doesn't look pretty close, go back to tracing and then do it again after a while. Get your source material, set it up, and your regular, blank piece of paper, and just draw it and see if you can match it. Great way to jumpstart your art. And you can do this for anything, people, plants, animals, anything, right? But that's how you practice well. This drawing, I don't even know who my influence is. I guess my influence has always been people like Arthur Adams, right? And Neil Adams and John Byrne. And then there's a great concept artist, T.B. Choi, that I love. Go check her out on ArtStation. Great art is all around us in this day and age. If you have a computer or an iPad or something hooked to the internet, you could find just about anything. So you want to practice that. Another thing you want to practice too is gesture drawing. And I think I will do a video about gesture drawing in the works. I'll be doing videos on gesture drawing for sure. Tracing for sure. I'll go into that detail with a lot more detail. I think I might do a sketchbook. I have some comments on sketchbooks. I think people are using sketchbooks differently than what I don't know, than what beginners might think a sketchbook should be used for. And it's causing all kinds of stress among beginners. Oh my gosh, my sketchbook isn't pretty. Well, it's not meant to be pretty, right? It's just meant to be like what I'm doing here, which is just a sketch. It's just a doodle. There's no way that the art that you're seeing me do on screen here is anywhere close to complete for anything. I would never turn this in as a complete art. This is done in 20 minutes. There's no way a complete painting can be done in 20 minutes. But that's what I'm doing. You can consider this kind of practice or a sketch. But anyway, so I feel real strongly that beginning artists need some help on sketching. And they need some help on, deadlines and proper work ethic and how to live with being an unknown. You're gonna be an unknown for the vast majority of your career unless you're extremely lucky. Uh, so get to be comfortable with that idea that you're going to be unknown. Learn to draw for yourself, like this drawing that I'm doing here. Obviously, I'm putting it on a YouTube for everybody to see, but yeah, there you go. That's what it looks like without the underlayer, and then there's the layer there. And I don't know, maybe I'll go into some drawing fundamentals, things that I keep in mind when I draw, but I don't know. There's so many people like Proco out there, James Gurney, so many people, David Finch, um, that do a much better job at this than I am doing. I think what I'm giving you is the boots on the ground version. I'm not a Jim Lee telling you from my stratospheric heights of achievement how to do something. I think any advice he has might be a little out of touch. No offense. So the boots on the ground is practice, but practice well. Realize that that is the only way you're going to get good. The only way you're going to get good at all is by drawing, is by doing it. You're not going to get good by watching endless YouTube videos. You're not going to get good by spending all your money on a Cintiq 22. You're not going to get good by, hell, I don't know, whatever quick shortcut scheme you can think of. You're not going to get good by any of that. Putting an implement to paper and drawing is the only way that you're going to get good, get better. And I know it's hard to hear. It really is. But on the flip side, all of us, I do not believe in art talent. I believe in art skill. All of us can develop this skill. This is a skill. If I tried to go out and be a professional plumber, I would be horrible at it because I don't have the skill. I don't have the practice. The more you practice, the better you'll get. Trust me. It's as simple as that. It's a simple formula. Try my idea about tracing though. get yourself some tracing paper and a good comic book, try it, and I think you'll have a good time. So I'll end this video by saying thank you. God bless, good luck, and I'll see you in the next one.